All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. I'm your host, as always, Mike. Most of you guys saw me like half an hour ago, so sorry you're stuck with my face. But today we're going to be breaking down PFL Week 4 for 2023. And I'm joined by somebody I've been talking to for a minute in terms of regionals and whatever UFC. One of the sharpest in the regional scene, Big Steve. What's up, brother? Thanks for coming on. How do you feel about the PFL card here?
Hey, brother. Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure. I think the first time I started speaking to you was about KSW. Super hard to find anyone talking about KSW, just an impossible promotion. And then, we just kept talking since. I have to appreciate the grind, how much content you put out. I know you're not full-time, so I'm struggling here full-time to do it. So, I can respect that. So thanks for having me on, man.
Of course. And yeah, I mean, I don't officially do it full time, but I spend probably like 90% of my day doing this.
It seems like you do. I know you have other aspirations, but they seem like they're on the back burner to me. I just see you on the computer 24/7. So
yeah, I mean, I spoke about it before, like on my shows. Like I'm in law school, but like this is what I want to do. So we'll see where it goes. But all right, we can hop right into the card. We've got 4 fights, all of them at lightweight. There's one dog that stood out to me. I already brought it up to Steve. I'm hyped to talk about that one. And we'll hop right in. Let me just pull this up. I got the wrong thing. God damn it. Fuck Tapology. All right. Yo. Steve was just telling me I'm a shit show. He was right.
Amateur. This is amateur hour.
All right. We got Charlie Decca versus Jose Agauyo. Decca's 3-2-1. Literally disqualified himself and got another freaking drop because of a illegal knee. 28 years old, 5'8", don't have his gym. Agauyo, 5-2-0. He's 31 years old. He's going to be 3 years older, 2 inches taller, training at Caesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Steve, what do you think for this fight?
All right, you've got me going first, eh?
Always.
Yeah. Look, it seemed like a bit of a pick 'em initially when I first I want to say someone in my circles mentioned, what do you think about Agauyo? One of my friends says I would play him up to -300, so that's what I had in my mind when I was taping. And when I finished tape, I was like, Jesus, I don't know what that guy was smoking. Probably on the same herbs as Couch Warrior Pod.
He opened at 550, so he was definitely on the same herbs, but I don't know how that happened.
He opened up -550.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. I guess, level of competition, fighting Sanhagen, Strader, etc. But, he's getting beat convincingly in those fights. I just left feeling like, Decca also, you look at his record 3-2. It's like, oh, Jesus, who are they bringing on to PFL? And he's lost to Eric Alequin, the guy that both of us hammered the juice on, Gene. But I think this comes down to, do you think can Agauyo get a submission off his back? Because I'm pretty confident Decca's going to get a takedown. He's a stocky wrestler. He gets takedowns on most people. That's pretty much his thing. And Agauyo has a lot of submissions. He just submitted recently Colakin, whatever his name is. That guy's decent. He was just on the last LFA, fought the Aussie purple belt and got dominated on the ground. It just comes down to that. But from what I've seen on tape, Decca, we went 3 rounds with Eric Alequin, Shimon Smotritsky, the Israeli guy that was in Contender Series twice now. Both of them had his back, and he seems to be good submission defense. So it's kind of hard to tell how good of Aguayo's guard is because he's only submitting bumps. So it just comes down to that. And if you think he doesn't get submitted, which I kind of lean towards not getting submitted, I think Decca is the value side, even though it's pick'em. I think he's got all the athleticism, the power. The other guy's not athletic at all. Did a bit of boxing, but just high guard, was getting tagged up in that too. I just think this is a massive physicality, and you just pointed this out to me. I wasn't aware because I kind of skimmed through it. Most of Decca's fights were at welterweight, and now he's at lightweight, so he should be even more physical, right? Even more strong, more explosive. So I kind of lean towards him, man. Haven't played anything, but it just comes down to that. Does he get submitted? Because I think he's going to be sitting in Aguayo's guard for a lot of the time. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when I taped this, I didn't look at the opener. I just looked at what it was, the pick'em. So I was like, all right, this should be close. And then I saw the opener on Agauyo at -550. So I expected like a stud. And like he's not. he's not. I don't think he really does much well. He's got those subs, sure, but that's really it. I feel like normally if someone's a good wrestler, they're not really getting submitted often. Maybe if they're going sloppy, guillotines, whatnot, front chokes. But usually if you're a good wrestler, you're not really getting submitted often. He's training at American Top Team. That's a good look. I actually have it in my notes that Agauyo's under Nick Diaz, which normally doesn't go well for guys on the regional scene or in UFC. But yeah, I like his striking better. I don't think Agauyo's got much in that regard either. I'd say relatively even there, but the grappling I think is the difference maker. Like the takedown defense of Agauyo's no good. He got taken down by Gary Conkle, who is like half decent, I guess. He's like fighting in the regionals now. I think I had money on him in the last fight that he lost. And he got taken down by Steve Moore, who's just a nobody. And Jesse Strader, like, all right, he's in the UFC. Unless he got cut, I don't know.
He got cut.
Did he? Makes sense. He's not very good either. So I don't really think either of these guys should be on the show, but they've been bringing on pretty low level people, so I'm not that surprised. But I like Decca. I almost went pretty heavy on him, but then I just reminded myself that this is like very low level, and like the fight IQ is clearly not there. He did 2 illegal knees in a row in 2 separate fights. Like literally, why? How are you going to do that? He got disqualified for one, lost a point in the other one, and got a draw in a fight he should have won. So I like Decca. Took him at minus 110, I think, minus 115, minus 110, 1.1 unit. That's all I want to risk there. And I think Decca should win this fight.
Yeah, dude. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna play him when I get off this pod. I just yeah, I mean he's gonna get takedowns, right? Agauyo has no takedown defense, and he's gonna look massive value unless Agauyo subs him. So this is gonna look like a massive favorite spot. And while we're talking, he was a slight favorite. Now it's back to pick him, so even better.
I was looking at the Agauyo sub because I guess if you think he wins, it's probably the only way. It's plus 375. If I was doing
that's an easy play. Easy play, easy hedge. Yeah, I only have over-unders as of last week, so I'm excited about it. I didn't cash in on any. Actually, I played that those 2 African-American dudes, Babley. I played that at juice, but, he looked massive value, took him down. And I'm glad I passed on that main event under, which missed by 2 seconds.
I saw that.
I'm excited to see what it opens up. I don't have the odds, but I have like the best fight odds, and it seems like the over is juiced, which just means that they're leaning with, the Decca to win, to wrestle him to a decision. So it's a no-brainer. If the bookies are leaning to go over, then you got to play the guy that's going to wrestle to a 3-round decision.
Yep, I'm with you. But let's move on to the next one. I'm pretty hype about this one because I literally just taped it, and I really like one spot. I'm gonna have to look at it a bit more, but we've got Tony Caruso, 8-1-0, 32 years old, 6 feet tall with a 72-inch reach, and I've got him at Sanford MMA. Romero, 11-1-0. He's 25. He's going to be 7 years younger. He's given up 1 inch in height, 2 inches in reach. He's training out of Niagara Top Team. I'll start this one off. I mean, I remembered Romero from the Contender Series. He beat up Breeden pretty well, but Dana just didn't like him. And I kind of get it. He's just like really well-rounded, almost too well-rounded because he doesn't really do anything spectacular, but like he's a very solid striker. I would say his striking defense is a bit lacking. And in terms of the wrestling, like I haven't seen his takedown defense tested all that much. It looks good. Breeden shot 4 times, but I'm not going to pretend Breeden is some high-level wrestler. And that's really all I have for Romero. Like, I just think he's good, but that's it. And like, I look at Caruso, and the first thing I noticed was the last 2 opponents fighting at 1FC. He beat Edward Foliang. Yeah, he's like 37 years old, but like the guy's legit. And then after that, he lost to, what was his name? I have it, Peter Buist. And that wasn't the best look, but like Peter Buist is like really long and very big. And Romero's literally smaller than Caruso. So I don't see him like really succeeding at range like Buist did. The guy was using his kicks, the front kicks, keeping that range and winning the fight that way. I think he even hurt Caruso with the front kick to the body. But his grappling, I like a lot for Caruso. I think his wrestling is very solid. That's kind of where where my decision came down to if I'm going to bet it or not. Because the striking, I think, is close, but I lean Romero. But I think that if Caruso can mix in this grappling, he's got a really heavy pace. He's got a really solid cardio. I think he can make this fight close. Like I said, he is bigger here. and he's like plus 230, which I just think is incorrect. Plus 235 on DraftKings. So I'm going to get there, I think, more than likely. It's just going to come down to what the unit sizing is. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you said. Old mate Caruso is kind of from the old Eternal scene, which is unfortunate. When you look at some of his old fights, it's very concerning. You know, my regional scene is not always the best. But, you know, the last two fights, you know, being in one championship, that's all you can ask for. You know, he's gone outside of Australian regional scene. And then I did a little stalk on him. Does he actually train at Sanford? I saw he's training at the Spartan gym or whatever it is with Christos Giagos. Is that Killcliff, or I was trying to find exactly
I
what gym
think
that is.
Iagos might be at Killcliff. Yeah, I thought for sure I saw that that he's at Sanford because I saw the black and orange walls. Whatever, Killcliff.
Oh, right.
I
Yeah,
like always.
I just couldn't tell. I just couldn't remember. I just saw Giagos in all his photos. Oh, this is great. You know, he's not in Australia, which, you know, not the worst thing. You know, Jack Della's still in Australia, but if you're someone like Caruso, I think you need to make improvements overseas. And, you know, then same thing as you. You know, I'm taping Romero. I remember him, you know, getting passed on in the Contender Series, and I remember taping him versus Gisola. You know, we hit Gisola. I don't know if you hit Gisola in the first week. Gisola took that
I
fight
know
on
you
short
did.
notice. Yeah, took it on short notice and on 2 days' notice or day notice at catchweight, and Romero's going to a split decision with him, right? And that's the way he fights. He's very, like you said, he's a little bit too well rounded. I would say he's a little bit too patient, too technical. Puts no stamps on fights in his stand up. Yeah, pretty much what I wrote is, you know, the Caruso is a lot more scrappy. They have the same game plan. You know, Romero wants to grapple, Caruso wants to grapple. Caruso's a little bit, you know, his wrestling's a bit give or take. Sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. Romero seems to be better. You know, when he gets the back, he seems to have a lot more control. It seems like his jiu-jitsu is a lot more polished. But yeah, then the last two fights I saw from Caruso, you know, that guy that you mentioned that beat him in ONE FC, that guy was a really credentialed Muay Thai fighter, and you could tell, like, his knees in the clinch, he was destroying him. You know, Romero's not going to have that. I do kind of lean, like yourself, Romero being more technical on the feet. You know, just with the feints. When things go his way, he's actually dropping people, but when they don't go his way, it's a very close competitive stand-up fight. You know, even JJ Okocha dropped him, and Okanovic, pardon me, not Okocha, that's a soccer player.
Echeverria got him too.
Yeah, he seems to have like potential chin issues and also gas issues in the third. He's young, so maybe he's improving. You know, I don't care about that flying knee over a 10-10 guy in his last one. You know, that's handled accordingly. But even the other guys, you know, Furious is not the best regional scene. And Caruso, I like the improvements I've seen against Folayang, even though Folayang well past his prime, 38 years of age. But then he took more than 2 years off. And he seemed to be training at Tiger Muay Thai in those 2 years off and doing a lot of stand-up, a lot of Muay Thai, and then had a boxing fight, and now he's at Killcliff. So hopefully it was just like, all right, let's take some time off so I get better, and then, you know, have an opportunity in America somewhere on Fury or PFL. And he didn't have an injury or anything. I couldn't be bothered doing a deep dive. But yeah, I just think he's going to be more scrappy. Romero's going to be more technical. I don't like how Caruso gasses in every fight. My only concern is he really going to get much grappling success against Romero, whose main strength seems to be the grappling? And then they're both gas and kind of evens out. But yeah, it's an easy dog or pass. I might just hit it, man. I think the line might get a bit juicier. I feel like maybe people are going to parlay Romero. One of
On
the other
Bet
fights.
Online, it seems to be going. It says it's going up on both lines. I don't know what that means. On DraftKings, money's coming in on Caruso.
Yeah, you're right. It is DraftKings Betway, 5 dimes. Yeah, I'll probably just take a shot, like a little quarter unit shot before it's too late. You can't go wrong.
What do you think of the under?
Let me just check because obviously I've got over unders. Well, I don't know what it's going to open up on Bet365. I'm only going to get one. It's probably going to be 2.5 rounds, right?
Yeah, that's what it is here. Plus 165.
Oh, minus 200 at over 2.5. Yeah, it's quite juicy.
Kind of hard to see Romero get finished, though, even though he has been hurt.
It's hard to see either of these guys get finished. So I guess the minus 200 is probably going to hit. It's just a little bit juicy for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't play that.
Sweating 2.5 rounds.
Yeah, not my thing.
No, so yeah, but definitely going to be on the dog at some point.
Sounds good. So will I, and we can move on to the next one. You're going to have to lead here because I only got to get a little bit of tape here. We've got Manuel Sousa versus Paulo Henrique. Sousa's 9-0, undefeated as a pro. He also had 2 AMI fights, so he's on an 11-fight win streak. 25, 5'9", 69-inch reach, training out of Academia Octagono. Henrique, 14, 5-0, 30 years old. He's going to be 5 years older. He's going to be 3 inches taller. I actually did get his reach. He has a 10-inch reach advantage, which is absurd. And he's training out of RD Champions. So, Steve, start us off, man.
Alrighty, it's your lucky day because I wasted too much time on this fight just because there's only 2 Henrique fights on Tape Index, and Tape Index has been slacking a little bit. I already spoke to someone online about it. If I'm paying my hard-earned money, expect some better service. But anyway,
I've been feeling the same way.
Yeah, it's like, come on, mate. It's only $3 a month, but let's not make me search for my own fights. If I'm paying you guys. But yeah, I actually found another 3 more fights by myself, which just tells you all you need to know. And then I kind of retaped again because I was like, all right, I kind of skimmed through the 2 fights on Tape Index, and now I've come back to it. What it comes down to is Manuel Sousa is, he's a beast. He's been a beast for a while. I heard about him after the CFFC, his last KO win. I was kind of surprised he didn't end up on Contender Series or anything, like Bellator even. 7-0, all finishes. Oh, 9-0, pardon me. And yeah, I taped him, and it's just like, I taped his whole career, actually. And yeah, he's got some flaws, or he did at the start, but I mean, he was like 23 when he started his career, 22. Yeah, just a very aggressive guy, physical. He likes to go for takedowns, explosive, and he hits like a truck, man. Hits like a truck, and I only seen him dropped once. I was looking at the potential under for this because obviously the favorite line is a little bit juiced. He only got dropped once, and he got up and he just knocked that guy out in the second round. He's never been to round 3. I'm not sure if he went to round 3. He has been to a decision in his amateurs, but never in his professional career, which is pretty cool. And then Henrique, tall, skinny, long guy, just kind of aggressive, gritty, scrappy. Like you said, 10 inches of reach, but I wrote this in my notes, does not use it whatsoever. Literally throws flying knees to close the distance on a shorter guy, and he spams elbows from like point blank range. Just as the left, the right, the left. So he doesn't care about his fists. It's just, let's close the distance ASAP. Wants to go for a takedown, but he gets reversed. Puts himself in guillotines a lot. Puts himself in one of his last decision wins was a really deep heel hook. You look at his knee, it was disgusting. And he got out of it. He's a good aggressive ground and pound. And then I tried to find his last 2 fights, which were on the same day, which you love to see, like back in the old school days, which was like a special PFL Brazilian card. The winner goes to PFL Challenger Series. And first fight was a decision. I just saw a highlight. It was him going for takedowns and, on top throwing aggressive ground and pound, typical stuff. Then the second one, he reversed the takedown and just ground and pounded the guy cold in like 20 seconds. So just pretty much everything I've seen. So, yeah, obviously for me, Sousa's the side, but I don't know if I could play the juice. These gritty, tough Brazilians, that you don't want to underestimate him. Just like Santos on LFA against Delano, right? They make a lot of improvements. Even Elvis Brenner, training partner of Santos. Oh, he fought Santos and he looked horrible, and then they just make a lot of improvement. They've got raw talent, but they just have to polish up their skills. So I don't know if I want to underestimate this Henrique guy, even though he's probably going to lose. He's too sloppy, gives up takedowns. And then I was looking at the under 1.5, but it felt like it could be like the Danilo Marquez last week, because there was a few times the Sousa did go over 1.5, by like a minute or 30 seconds. And I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be like minus 200. And, he clinches a lot. He clinches a lot, and he tries to go for takedowns a lot, and he gets clinched up himself. So that's probably, and if he gets the takedown, I don't think there's going to be finish. So I think that's going to burn up the clock. So at the moment, I haven't played anything. Maybe the under can persuade me, but yeah, he lands one punch and he puts his opponents out. So he's like a truck.
What do you think about Sousa ITD at minus 135? I don't know if you get those lines.
Oh yeah, that would be the play. That's nice. I don't. I just get over unders.
Yeah, I think I might get there. I didn't get to tape it nearly to the extent you did. This one I had to do quick, but from what I saw, just like you said, Henrique has that reach advantage and just doesn't use it. For what reason, I don't know. He's got that tall man's defense, kind of like a giraffe. He's just very hittable. I feel like Sousa's just going to find that knockout. I really liked what I saw on the feet for him. I really liked his counter game. And he doesn't wrestle all that much, but when he's doing it, it looked good. The defensive grappling, I didn't get to go far back, so I'm not sure, but I did see him get taken down by Chalet in round 1, but that was like for 30 seconds and it didn't happen again, so I wouldn't put too much stock into it. Henrique's wrestling I literally just wrote okay. It looks okay. He's got decent scrambling from bottom, but yeah, I think more than likely Sousa's going to finish. I got to tape it more, but I'll probably get to that ITD at minus 135, at least from what I've seen so far.
That's a good line. I would take that. I would take that right now because he seems to carry power late. So you can maybe get to round 3 and you still cash your bet. I find it hard to see how Henrique survives 3 rounds, but don't let me convince you.
Nah, I think I'm gonna hit it anyways. But I'm surprised you don't get these. You said you have Bet365?
Yeah, I'm in Australia, dude. Don't get shit.
You get the good lines for UFC.
Yeah, I mean 3-4 years ago, man, Bet365 had nothing. Now they're getting KSW, then over-unders on KSW. Didn't even have over-unders on Bellator. Didn't have LFA till last year, and LFA was only on some cards. There's like 2 cards out of like 10 for me. Bet365 is not one of them. And then they only open up on the day, so I have to wake up early before the card starts on Saturday and place my bets, and it's all absolute scraps from everyone that destroyed the lines and then flipped. But sometimes lines move into my direction right before the fight starts. Like Full ended up being Pick'em against Ritz when he guillotined him. So you got to make do with what you got. I'm grateful that I can actually make any sort of profit with my late ass lines and whatever I can get.
Sorry if I'm smashing your lines, Steve.
That's all right, mate. You'll get to when you get to a decent, a respectable unit size, then you'll understand.
Bro, my units are 9 inches, okay?
That's right. You're talking about your ruler, right? That you use for your homework.
Yep.
Nice.
Do a lot of math over in law school. But all right, for this main event, we've got a spot I like. I've seen a lot of people on the other side, so I'm a little nervous, but we got Elvin Espinoza versus Damir Ferhatbegovic. Espinoza is 7-0 undefeated as a pro. He's 30, 5'9", 74-inch reach. I don't have his exact camp. I'll go with round 5 MMA from Tapology. Damir, 6'2" He's 2 years younger. He's going to be 2 inches taller. Don't have his reach written down, and he's training at a Shield Systems MMA. Guess it's my turn, and for me, it was fairly basic. I just thought that Espinoza is just better all around. It was really it for me. I think where it might get close is maybe the striking. I did like some of what Damir does. He looks like he has a lot of power, but overall, I like Espinoza's wrestling. I like what he does on the ground. I like his striking. I don't really see him getting knocked out here. He's never been finished. The competition hasn't been elite by any means, but I don't really see Damir finishing him. I'm pretty sure Damir hasn't fought anyone great either. Nate Williams, our guy Dan loves that fella, but he's not the best. So yeah, I like Elvin Espinoza quite a bit. Played him for I think like 3 units. Got him at minus 115. Now it's like minus 155, minus 145. I feel like that's probably still playable, but what do you think, Steve?
I love how you just glossed over the Jonathan Pierce and Luis Pena on his record.
I was not positive if it was the same Jonathan Pierce because of the record, but Pena I did gloss over.
Yeah, he's definitely fought the tough level of competition. Even Nathan Williams is the best guy on either guy's record. Like, there's no one on Espinoza's fight, record that's close to Nate Williams. But yeah, I'll take this first, obviously, because I saw your 3-unit bet. So, despite me never respecting your picks whatsoever, I just thought I'll tape it, just in case you were right. And I know Espinoza. Espinoza's had hype, 2 PFL fights already. So, and I actually remember one of the boys, that's trained with BJ Bland because he's from New Zealand. I'm pretty sure. He said, "Oh, boys, you should hit up BJ Bland." I've been training with him. The camp's been going great. So I was like, "Oh, let's go Intel." And then I taped BJ Bland, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I can do it, man." I almost got persuaded to do it, and I get it. When you watch Damir's fights, you might have not found the Jonathan Pierce one because, Yeah, it's definitely him. You watch the Luis Pena fight, you watch the Jonathan Pierce fight, and he's kind of like over aggressive and he's getting tired. And he's a great scrambler. He actually had a deep knee bar on Jonathan Pierce 30 seconds in, and his knee was hyperextended. Ever since that fight, I was confident that no one was going to submit Jonathan Pierce in the UFC. We've seen Rodriguez try. Other people tapped to that, and he's had multiple deep guillotines against Luis Pena. And then you're like, well, you don't want to see people jumping on guillotines, right? Even if it's regionals. But that could put out someone, like that was 2017. So he's 23 years of age, right? And I couldn't find any tape, couldn't find the Nathan Williams, couldn't find anything, just found the Jordan Weeks, which was 2019. And, he's gone to a 3-round decision. Striking looks a bit more polished. Jordan Weeks was like 2-2, so not the greatest look. And he's still kind of blowing, a little bit tired. So I'm like, all right, this cardio is still a problem. Then he comes out against BJ Bland and he just destroys him, and he looks good. He looks very fluid. And then I'm like, okay, so he's 28. That's 5 years since he fought Pena, and he's improving. And you kind of don't want to get in the way of these guys, like another raw talent that's, a bit loose, a bit green with his performances early, and now he's kind of polishing up his game. And then I taped Espinoza, and I didn't watch either of his PFL fights. And, Hopetown Stewart, I remember considering Hopetown, Hopton as a dog, passed, thankfully. That would have been a horrible bet. And then I watched the Jackson fight for the first time, and, man, that was a bit of a sweat. You see the panel had Jackson winning 2-1, and then he got a unanimous. I agree with that. I mean, you can't just disagree with a lot of that cage time. The main thing is Espinoza could not dodge a punch to save his life. Every single punch that Samuels threw just hit him straight on the chin. And that's the first thing that stuck out to me. Damir, just so fluid, so fast. He was always fluid and fast back then, but, obviously a bit young, a bit green. Now he's a little bit more patient. The uppercut he landed on BJ was just nice. He just kind of waited for him to walk into the pocket. And now I'm just thinking, all right, I guess Elvin can wrestle him, right? He seems to have really good wrestling, even though, Jackson defended most of it. And, that the early fights in Damir's career, where he's pulling guillotines and easily getting wrestled in 2 and 3 against Pena, and he got submitted by Pena and finished by Pierce. They're in my mind, like what if if he gets actively wrestled, that cardio comes out again and that craziness, right? And then I'm like, all right, I got to find this Nathan Williams fight because that's a good opponent. And he went into round 2, and I find it's on Instagram if you want to stalk him, and he just lights him up, man. He lights him up like a Christmas tree. And Williams, had a decent fight with Sheamus. He's like a borderline contender series bum. He could have had a better record. I know Dan Levy loves him, like you said, but yeah, he's a decent regional fighter. And Damir looked like a minus 400 favorite against him, and that's a respectable opponent. BJ Bland, not so much. So now, I go through Espinoza's record, and no one, 1 and 2, 0 and 1, 4 and 5, 0 and 0, 3 and 2, and then, step up against Stewart and step up against Corey Jackson, and it's a sweaty performance, and he's 30 years old. So what happens if the wrestling doesn't work out, So I left saying it's a dog or pass for me. I feel like Damir probably lights him up easily on the feet. Just the speed advantage is massive. Probably Espinoza can take him down. He seems like a lot more physical guy. Damir hasn't met a takedown attempt that he wanted to stuff yet. But who knows? Maybe 3 years later, 4 years later, he's corrected that in his game. I guess I'm willing to pay the price on the line. And who knows? Maybe he gets a guillotine. He couldn't submit Jonathan Pierce and Luis Pena, notably hard guys to submit. But maybe he submits someone like Espinoza, who's fought nobody good at grappling. So yeah, I left with a dog or pass. The money was coming in on him, Damir, yesterday, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to end up playing anything here. I think it's too close. And then a little bit more is coming on Espinoza. So I'm hopefully none of your fans listen to this, or they all have $10 units and they don't really move the Damir line. But yeah, it's a dog or pass for me, man. That the difference in speed and fluidity is the biggest thing I saw. I kept seeing Espinoza's head get pushed back by punches from Samuel Jackson, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good case. I'm definitely going to run it back a little bit more. Like I said, I mean, I saw the minus 115, taped it, ran it, but don't love having 3 units on PFL, even when it was Thad Gene. So We'll see what happens with the line. Maybe I'll hedge out just a tiny bit. I'm definitely going to keep the money on Espinoza. Maybe 3 units is a bit much. Maybe they're not as big as yours, Steve, but it still would hurt. It would hurt.
No, yeah. I mean, I used to do that too when they were smaller, but naturally, when they become big, you just don't want to risk it. What was I going to say? That Gene was a great play. I wish there was a favorite in the last few weeks. There warrants that many units, but yeah, just haven't seen anything. That was like the 30-27 with no danger whatsoever and multiple knockdowns. I've yet to come against the favorite that I want to play that much units on. Even Sousa, $1.25. Just a scrappy Brazilian guy. I don't know. That doesn't feel as safe. But there was massive line movement on the main event, right? Went the other way at one point.
On the Espinoza, yeah. So he opened minus 275, which I would not have touched. But then he actually blasted up to plus 100. That's when I started taping, so I missed that. But then it came down. I got minus 115, and then it went minus 170, back up, back down, minus 155 now. Which I think makes sense, I guess. But like I said, I am going to retape this, and I definitely want to retape the Sousa fight because I would take that ITD if it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. What's this comment? Yeah.
What's he do full time?
I don't know. He should probably take up some wrestling classes, though, in his spare time.
I mean, how do we know Damir's doing it full time, Tommy Unders? I'm looking at
I think Damir is in a pretty high-level gym, I'm pretty sure, from when I stalked him.
Yeah, I'm seeing only Espinoza in the gym and with nice cars, so I'm not sure what else he might be doing.
Let me check. He's 30 years old. He started his career pretty late. Man, it's very hard to Google Damir. I'll tell you what, from his last name. Here we go. For my followers, good sign.
He follows you?
No, he has more followers than Espinoza.
Oh, more followers. That's PFL how you cap, Steve?
No, I'm talking shit, man.
Oh, Damir's at MMA Lab? At least he was last year. That was last year.
Yeah, and then while you're there, mate, you can watch the Nate Williams fight and then cash out your 3 units.
Where you said that one's on Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram. It's 2 highlights next to each other. It just lights him up. Just the hands are beautiful.
You got to check it out then. He works full time as a nurse.
BJ Bland is a bit, chinny, but I don't think Nate Williams is chinny. He hasn't been knocked that much.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Bland fight was kind of what made me not like Damir because like he finished him, yeah, but like if I remember right, he was getting hit a bit too, and like Bland kind of sucks. So
yeah, Bland is a gritty guy, and he's got a lot of Muay Thai fights in New Zealand, but the main thing is the Pena and Jonathan Pierce fights. He had a lot of raw talent back then. So if he's just improved a little bit, polished some things. But yeah, it's just the price. All I've seen is that if Espinoza can't get his wrestling off, it becomes very greasy. And then like, how is he going to handle all those punches coming to him? Seems to have a good chin, but yeah.
Definitely going to check it out. But all right, that's a card. Only 4 fights for PFL, but I'm glad it's lightweights and not heavyweights. That was so bad last week. I didn't even want to do content for it. But
yeah, I just passed on it. It wasn't worth my time.
Yeah, I don't think I ended up playing anything. I almost did ITD for what's the guy who won the main event? What's his name again?
Yeah, Daniel Marquez. A lot of people play the sub, which I was so jealous of. It was a beautiful play.
He hit the sub?
I didn't a lot of people did. That would have been a no-brainer if I had such a play on my book. That's what I was contemplating over under, just because of the sub. But I was like, this guy loves going just over the 1.5, even in his UFC. I was like, oh no.
Definitely saved yourself there.
Oh, dude, there's a reason I'm so good at under 1.5s now. It's because I don't want to experience that pain ever again. The 2-second misses. There's no worse feeling than missing an under by a second, or that Alonzo Menefield one where it's one punch and then Goddard's like, keep going.
I never do under 1.5s. I'll do over 1.5s and under 2.5s. I don't like playing fight goes. I don't like playing that because then you're just sweating balls the entire time. You want them to not do their job pretty much if you're playing fight goes.
Have you've seen my record with the under 1.5s, right?
You have 1 loss and 20 wins, right?
Yeah, since I started tracking, yeah, there was someone else that said the same thing as you, and then I showed him that, and then now he's cashing under 1.5. So he just didn't even bother. He goes, "No, I don't want to touch that."
What do you look
And
for?
what was that?
What do you look for?
Oh, just if there's any chance that it's going to go over by 2-3 seconds, if it's a reoccurring thing, or just like this Sousa fight, kinda, I'm just like, nah, no. It has to be like the Fedor beta fight where literally, Fedor's going out after the first punch, and people are saying minus 200 on under 1.5. Forget it. I'm like, dude, it should be 85%. Even if he gets taken down, he's going to get ground and pounded. And I haven't even watched it. I was at a wedding, but yeah, I think he got taken down and ground and pounded, and the ref even let it go for too long. So I just look for, I try to see how the fight's going to go in every single way, and how many ways will it go over? Like if they fight maybe cautiously, or if they wrestle too much, and then I'm just like, okay, that's really low amount. If they're both chinny, if they both have power, beautiful. Give me that. The first ever track bet was Nascimento Alan Bordeaux, and I was sweating that one because he went into round 2, and then Bordeaux didn't knock him out, and then he started to get tired, and I was like, oh no. By the time Nascimento takes him down, and then he just sparked him on the feet. I was like, yes.
Bordeaux is so bad, dude. I was watching him for Parisian. I had money there. I lost money there. Very bad bet.
I had money on Bordeaux because I thought he would kick the crap out of him early, and then I just said, you know what? He's going to kick the crap out of him early, but if he doesn't finish him, I'll be scrambling to put my live bet in, and that's exactly what happened. I didn't get a chance to live bet Parisian, but at least I didn't lose any money.
Parisian was wrestling there too. That was such a bad look.
Yeah.
But all right. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I'm Mike, Couch Warrior Pod. You guys know where to find me. I'm hopefully going to put out Aries FC and LFA tomorrow. We'll see. Then I have my Twitter space at 6 p.m. with MMA Propaholic. We just do props for the upcoming UFC card. And big shout out to Steve for coming on. Thank you, brother. Like I said, we've been talking fights for a minute, but this is the first time we've done a stream. Let the people know where to find you. And make sure to follow and subscribe to this guy. He's literally one of the sharpest in the game and does it full time. So, Steve, let him know where to find you.
Thanks for the kind words, mate. Just big_Steve MMA on Twitter, relatively new. And then don't bother going on my YouTube because that's my personal YouTube. But Big Brain MMA podcast is where I do all my breakdowns. I try to compete with Mike, but yeah, the dude's lying. He's not actually doing a law degree. He has no life. He's just,
you got to lower your unit size. Maybe he'll do as good as me.
Yeah, he has no life whatsoever. So it's hard to keep up with him. But yeah, that's Big Brain MMA podcast. Just a little bit away from 250, so halfway to 500. Give us a subscribe. And yeah, if I'm not confident in something, I won't tip the bet. So if you care, and unfortunately, I tape too much as well. I wish I didn't tape as much as I do, but yeah. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Of course, man. Thank you for coming on, and peace out, everybody. Good luck this weekend.